Hey everyone! Welcome to another episode of On The Flipside. The first Monday of every month, we talk about mindset. And every other Monday after that, it's all about real estate. Both two very important topics when you're getting into real estate. My name is Diana Lizarazo, and today's guest speaker is Jacqueline Francis. Now, before we get started, I want to share with you some fantastic news. I'm so excited about it. I have created an application that is a social networking platform, and it solves two critical problems in the real estate investing industry. One, it's credibility and trust, building it, and searchability, being able to be found so that people can find us. So if this is what you're looking for, you're definitely going to want to check out this application. It's for investors, it's for mentors, and for professionals in the real estate investing industry. So if you're interested, go to realestateinvestorfam.com and you'll get to see everything about it. You're gonna love it, so you're gonna want to see it. It's free to join, so have fun and enjoy. Now back to the show. So our guest speakers are real estate investors, and they're here to help you by sharing their experiences and sharing the knowledge that they have with you. So if you guys are ready, let's send Jacqueline some thumbs up, let's send her some hearts, and let's get her on here. Let's see if we can get her on. Oops, I'm inviting wrong person, cancel that. Jacqueline, let me know if you got it. Or or maybe if I'm going to cancel your request and I'm going to send the request. So I'm going to cancel it and then I'm going to send it. So tell me if you got it. I don't know why these days we're having problems. I don't know if you guys noticed before also.
There we go.
We got you.
Oh, yay!
Hey, I love chatting with you. It's always so much fun. You're so full of energy. If you guys need energy, Jacqueline is the person to just like pump you up and get you going. So thanks so much for coming on.
This is amazing. Thank you so much for having me. It's the beginning of October. Great way to kick off the month. I love these conversations. They're so inspiring. You're doing some amazing things. REI fam, guys, if you haven't joined, join. It is going to change the real estate investing game. I'm telling you.
Thank you so much. I believe the same thing too. I think it's going to transform the way we do things. But enough about me, because I can definitely always talk about it because I am so passionate about it. But Jacqueline, let's start with just telling the viewers a little bit about yourself. You as an investor and you on the mindset side. Let's hear both.
Yes. Hi, guys. I'm Jacqueline Francis from Francis 5 Properties. My husband, Leo, and I own a real estate investing company. We are multifamily real estate investors that are venturing into land development. So that's been really exciting for us. And as a result of real estate investing, I became really, really interested in personal development. It became something that I really gravitated towards. And because of that, I became, or I am right now, coaching on self-image. I find that this self-image is an idea, it's an image that we all hold of ourselves in our mind. So it's not the picture that you see when you look at yourself in the mirror, because that is your physical reflection. But this is an image in your mind that has pretty much spanned over the whole term of your life, and it's built on ideas that you hold about yourself. Good, bad, positive, negative, things that other people have told you about yourself, your successes, your failures, and you live from this image that you hold of yourself. I'm very passionate about it, and I think that once you understand your self-image and do some self-development work, you can really transform your life.
I love it. I love it. And I totally agree with you. Same thing with me. I started in real estate and I never thought anything, to be honest, about personal development. I was like, you guys with your foo-foo nonsense. I'm like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. But when you see yourself evolving and look back, that's where I was like, oh shit. I'm like, that old Diana never would have been that. And I'm glad we're talking about self-image because I think it's so true. I'd love to hear your point, but before you start is just to say like that, like I didn't realize because that self-image, like who you see yourself as now is who you thought of who you would be in the past. So who you think of yourself right now is who you're building yourself up to be. Is that right? Like that's exactly that's how
Yes.
I realized what it was like that. Like I never realized in myself that like I was creating this image of who I was until like that. I think it was about 6 months of just doing like hardcore work on real estate. Someone made me look back and I just thought, wow, that old Diana would have never done that. So clearly I was creating an image. So let's deep dive into the image and um, why is it so important? I don't know, what you would like to share of like, what are like even the tips that you would like to give for people to get started on building their image or actually start with the awarenesses that they need to bring maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So just to your point, like what we are living right now is basically thoughts from our past. That is the results that we see in our life right now. So things that you've thought about yourself, about your life, about your future, are what you're living in this exact moment. So if you want anything different for your life, you have to start creating new thoughts for your future. I know it's kind of a crazy concept if everyone can really understand that. To build a better future, you need to change what you're doing in the present to build that new future. It starts from your thoughts. It starts from how much you believe in yourself to get to where you need to go in the future. Otherwise, you're not going to be living that life that you dream of. You're not going to think it's capable for you because you're not doing any of the work right now because it's coming up. You're being doubtful. There's fears. You're like, oh, I would love to have that $1 million house, but I don't make enough money, so I won't. All of these things that we say to ourselves, to other people on a daily basis is creating the future that we're going to have. And you live from this image because if you don't see yourself as being successful, as being confident, as being someone that can run a business or can, be ahead in your department that you work in, you are never going to get there. No one can believe in yourself more than you need to believe in yourself. Other people can't believe in you more than you need to believe in yourself, but it starts with you. It starts with figuring out what you need to become aware of. So your thoughts, what are you telling yourself on a daily basis? What are you thinking about yourself on a daily basis? Sometimes, like our subconscious mind is running the show. 95% of what we do is subconscious. We get up in the morning, we brush our teeth. Whether you've made it a good practice or a bad practice, it's routine. The good routine is going to help you move forward. But the routine that doesn't move you anywhere is going to continue to repeat itself until you become aware that you need to change. If you want change in your life, you have to be doing something different every single day. And repeat that. Because the way we got to be the way we are is through repetition. We've told ourselves that we're not good enough, we're not worthy, we can't get this done. So in order to starve those beliefs, we have to create new beliefs that yes, we are successful. We can do whatever it is that we put our mind to it. Life is always going to happen. Contrast is going to show up. But who are we being in those moments? Are we still being persistent that yes, we can get what is it that we want? Because everyone, if you look at their life history, anyone who's been successful, it really hasn't happened overnight. They had to be that person. They had to remain in that confidence that they will eventually get there. And they have. Their thoughts caught up, like their reality caught up with their thoughts.
100%. I love it. And one of the things that came to my mind actually while you were saying that, which I think we all feel when we're getting into something new, is that imposter syndrome, which is basically what happens, right? Because we're building this image in us that we're this person, which basically gives us that conflict of like, we want to be this person and we're like building this image and trying to behave in that way. But then you're like worried because you're
Yeah.
almost like, to say faking it till you make it, but it's like, like it's just like you get that conflict. And I think it's very normal to happen because you're trying to build up that faith, that
Yeah.
build up that confidence that you are that person and like slowly making it there. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah. So what I would have to say about that is, so we're already, we feel a certain way about ourselves. And now we're trying to shift into an energy of, you know what, I can have that for myself if I truly desire it. So I think begin with choosing and making a decision that you want better for your life. Because we become emotionally attached when we make that decision to propel our life forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once you make a decision that you want something different for your life, I think that decision can really help you to stay consistent with what you're trying to do. So whether it's, I'm going to walk every day for 45 minutes or an hour, if you don't have the image of a person that walks every single day for 45 minutes, you're going to do it for a couple of days, a few weeks, and you're going to be like, I can't, it's too much. But if we continue to tell ourselves and believe and make the decision that, yes, I am a person that walks every single day for 45 minutes, and don't get me wrong, there are going to be days where it's going to rain and you may not have the opportunity to do it, as long as you're able to get back the next day and say, hey, I can still continue doing this. I can keep going. And this is how you build that positive image of you. The consistency, the repetition. Otherwise,
Not giving up.
yeah, like the imposter syndrome, like even for you to do these lives, at one point, I'm sure you were like, oh my gosh, who am I to do this? Are people going to take me seriously? What knowledge do I have? How do I show up as a professional and can give advice to other people? But it's all the thoughts in our head, and we can choose to think other things. Like we can shove that aside and say, not today. I am not taking you on today. I'm choosing to think that, yes, I can do this. Yes, I can show up and people will resonate with what I have to say. I don't have to be perfect. I can take the imperfect action, and as long as I'm happy with it, then my message will get reached to whoever needs to hear it.
Love it. That's so great. And another big point that you made that I felt like we definitely need to talk about a lot, because it's also something I've realized is like that the faith, having the faith, because
Yeah.
really like you can have that thought in your mind and you, for example, like that, like you say like, oh, I want to, I don't know, make $1 million, right? But if in your mind you're also saying that would never happen and your faith is on that thought, you're making that thought come true. So it's like, so now, and I feel that to me confidence and faith are like, to be honest, it starts becoming one, because it's like you have to build that confidence to kind of get, and it gives you the faith to be able to actually think that you can actually do things. So
Yeah.
I'm curious on like what tips, and obviously correct me if I'm wrong about that comment, but what tips do you have for the viewers about how to even build their faith and increase it? Because I find it that it's very hard, when you're doing something new, you're almost like forcing yourself to believe that you actually could even possibly do this thing. So what
Yeah.
tips do you have for people?
I would say start looking at some of the evidence in your life, because there has been some point in your life where you've been successful at something, where you have overcome something that you at one point thought you could never do. And start looking, because if you continue to look back, you will see an enormous amount of evidence that has proved to you that you can do this, that has somewhat pointed you in the direction, but your thoughts are so overpowering that you're like, oh, I just did it the one time, I can never do it again, right? But it's building the belief. Faith is a muscle, right? We have to continue to build it, because if we don't, you just can't be like, oh, well, just go and believe. Like, I can't tell someone that and expect them to just believe, because if people have never been able to believe in themselves or believe in anything that they are capable of doing, or they've had like, quote unquote hard life or wherever they've come from, and they haven't seen positive and good changes in their life, they're going to disagree with me. Their body is going to reject anything you or I say because that's not been their reality. They have never seen any of that. So it's a muscle you have to keep on building, but it starts with looking at the evidence in your life. So you got to really be like, okay, well, where have I been confident? Yeah, I'm a confident mother. I show up for my kids. Where have I been successful? Okay, I remember one time in, university, I had X, Y, and Z to do. And if you go back throughout the timeline of your life and you sit with that question, things will show up for you. I find that people don't sit still. There's no stillness in this busy life that we all live. Yes, right? This is where the answers come. We're in the shower. Don't they say the best advice and solutions come when you're in the shower, right? You're quiet, no one's disturbing you. Your mind is sort of at rest. I mean, you're thinking of all these things, but you're getting downloads. Or sometimes you just need the stillness of nothing coming through to give yourself that moment. Otherwise, the minute you get out, it's dinner, it's picking up the kids, it's this call, that call, this, and all of the things. If we do not choose to give ourselves some quietness, some peace, then we're going to continue living and re-experiencing the same things day in, day out for the rest of our lives and wonder why hasn't anything changed.
I love that. So I just want to recap because I feel like that, like to me, this is like, I feel like the most important part in advancing is like building that faith. Because like you said, like if you say if someone says to you like have faith, like what does that even mean? Like how do I have faith? And it's something that, like you said, I love that example, that looking in the past, because you got to look at all those ones and see, like, it's bringing the awareness in yourself. Like we're never taught to look at ourselves and be like, what are the patterns we're seeing? What have I done that has helped me become successful?
Right.
And just trying to learn, like learning ourselves is so important, because like that, like you think like, oh, it's just luck, it just happened that one time. And it's like, no, actually things happen for a very specific reason, and it's just like you don't have the awareness, like that, especially what they call them, like unconscious competence. I don't know if you've heard of that, where it's there's some people that are so amazing at doing things, but they have no, like, for them, for example, to teach anyone, they have no idea. They think probably they're just lucky for life, but it's just like, but they unconsciously just know the habits on what they have to do to become successful. But if you ask them, they're just like, I don't know, like, I'm just good at it,
Exactly. And they don't even realize, like, they're being persistent. They're constantly holding the image of, I'm going to make $1 million in my business. Like, they do not let that go. The minute and like you brought up something earlier about, we can think positive all we want, but if we're like faking it until we make it, it's the dominant feeling that is always going to overcome whatever is in our conscious mind, right? So we can think all wonderful things all day long, but if our deep within us doesn't feel that way, it's never going to stick. So those positive thoughts are almost a waste of time. Somebody once told me, like, everyone says affirmations are amazing, and absolutely, you want to affirm that you are the thing, right? However, if you do not put your passion behind the affirmations and really say them with conviction and emotion, you're just going to affirm that you're not the thing you're trying to affirm. Does that make sense?
Yes. And do you want to give any examples even for people to start helping themselves, like that, create those feelings inside them while they are saying their affirmations? Because I totally agree with you. Like, you have to feel it, because like you said, whatever you feel inside is exactly what you're going to get. So if you're like, I'm amazing, I'm amazing, I'm amazing, and inside you're just like, not really, not really,
Exactly.
Like, you're gonna have a conflict inside yourself with what you feel to what you're saying.
Yeah, there's a really good saying that goes, you never get what you want, you always get what you feel about what you want. right?
Mm-hmm.
So the feeling is the secret to everything in life. How do you
Mm-hmm.
feel about yourself? Because you could stand up there and be like, yeah, I'm great, I'm wonderful, but if you don't feel that way about yourself, that is not who you're showing up as. So even the fake it till you make it, you're not really faking it. You're stepping into a version of you
Mm-hmm.
by thinking about, well, how does that person show up? And you can even like think about it in the third person before you start putting it into like I am. So a person that's looking to, change the way they're feeling about themselves can start being like, okay, well, ask me, what would you love? What do
Mm-hmm.
you want out of your life? What do you love your life to look like? Do you want
Mm-hmm.
to not work your 9 to 5 anymore and start, traveling more? What does that look
Mm-hmm.
like? Well, how do I show up as that person? What does that person who travels 4 times a year, what do they do? What do they feel? Who do they talk to? What circles are they in?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What kind of life are they living? And you pen all of that down because our thoughts are literally, when you put them on paper, you're bringing the thoughts onto something tangible that you can read, you can feel, you can
Becomes
see.
like a reality almost, like a stepping stone to like building it out in your
Yeah,
reality.
exactly. Because whatever you choose to believe is going to be your assumption of life, right? Like there's no real right or wrong. This is why people have so many different perspectives. Because I can't tell
Mm-hmm.
you that you're right or you're wrong because that's coming from my own personal perspective based on
Yeah.
my upbringing, my views of life. So who's really right or wrong? Because if I assume something to be true, it's going to be true in my life. So when it
100%.
comes to believing in ourselves, if you are believing or you have this story running that, you know what, I don't think I can ever, make X, Y, and Z in my business or I can lose the weight, and you keep affirming that and you keep repeating it to yourself and you're telling your friends and you're telling so and so, well, that is what's going to keep showing up in your life.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Mm-hmm. And
so
it's really
prone. Yeah.
no,
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 sorry, go ahead.
finish. No, finish what you're gonna say. We're so prone.
We're so prone to always looking at the negative. Oh, yeah, that's not going to work out for me. I want to leave my job, but it's so hard, I won't be able to. And
Mm-hmm.
we say these things to ourselves on a daily basis. So imagine how many times you've told yourself something along those lines, and then you wake up expecting something new. You go for this new job, and you're like, see, I knew it wasn't going to work out. I knew I meant to
Yourself
stay.
right. You're
The
like, see, I
self,
told you exactly what I thought happened. Of course
yeah,
it happened, because that's what you wanted.
self fulfilling prophecy. So we need to
Mhm.
start shifting that. Everybody in your audience in this world has the ability to shift their thoughts. It's a choice, it's a decision. You want better for your life? Start looking at where in your life you can start to change some of the things that you're doing and saying,
Mhm.
right?
I completely, yeah, completely agree because like that, like for me especially, and I'm sure for you is the same, you become very, very aware of what you're saying inside your head. And it almost like I went through a phase, and I feel like I go in and out of this phase where I get very scared of the thoughts that go into my mind because I know how impactful they are now.
Yeah.
And like a negative thought will come in, and I almost go into like a frenzy of like positivity because I get so nervous because it's just like that. As you look back in your past, you really start like once you bring those awarenesses, I don't know, you really start understanding that you are the person that are building your life, and how how you've played a victim in it. And
Yeah.
because in all our lives, I'm sure in every some little parts we've been a victim in certain situations
Mhm.
where it's like, no, I brought that on myself, that was me who did it. I made that happen. Like you said, like we put a thought in our mind, and and our mind's going to try its best to prove it right. And like you
Yes.
said, as the emotion is even in there, it makes it even easier for us to prove ourselves right, because we're just going to make sure we look at everything. Like I feel like the best example is, like you buy a car, a certain brand, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're like, everyone seems to have these cars, and you're like, what just happened? I've never seen anyone have like this type of car, and now everyone has this car.
Exactly. Like that's why sometimes like have you ever, been like in a little bit of a tit for tat with someone, and then they don't call you for a couple of days, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, they haven't called me. I did this, I did that. And you start going down this rabbit hole of thoughts and emotions and
Building the
why they have
story.
done this to you. Yeah, the mind is so powerful. And then you talk to them and they're like, oh yeah, my phone was dead or my phone broke. And you're like, oh my gosh. But you
You're
see,
like, I made it so much more worse than it really was. You're just like,
yeah,
oh, that's all that happened. And you think, though, when you look back at it, though, too, it's really funny because you build up this story, put yourself in this crazy frenzy, and then when you realize, like, what the reality was, be like, man, I put so much negative energy on
yeah.
myself, building up this, like, crazy-ass story. And then you're just like, why did I do that?
Yeah, for what? You worked yourself up and worried, so you're in this state and energy of worry now for like 3, 4 days a week, only to find out that everything worked out for you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why people hold so much anxiety,
Yeah.
right? Because all of a sudden they get like really anxious, they start making up stories, they hide behind the anxiety because sometimes they don't believe that what they are calling into their life can really happen for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that struggle is so hard. The belief and that you are gonna get what you want is because like that we've never been taught since young that this is something we can do, that we should be focusing on our thoughts and like you said, it's a muscle, like learning to harness that muscle and improve it. Like, can you imagine being like a baby and doing this again and actually learning
Oh,
it? Like, can you
oh
imagine
my
how
God.
powerful people could be? Like, and you'd
Yeah,
probably be like that's probably the billionaires, you know, like how they've cultivated their
yeah,
minds, the parents have cultivated them, and like look at where they are. They're billionaires because their mind is so different to ours, you know, and it's just
yeah.
like I can't wait to
But
get there.
But then again, we all have coaches. Like what the regular you and I did not understand about being successful in whatever term that means to you is you have to work with somebody to get you to sometimes that next level in your life. Because obviously, with our own understanding of the world and our upbringing and all of the things that have shaped us, it won't get us any further than what we can see in front of us until we
Mm-hmm.
start diving into ourselves, expansion from within,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you
Mm-hmm.
work with a person like there's like you're not better than me, I'm not better than you, we're not better than anybody else. It's just you have a little bit more knowledge than the average person on real estate investing.
Mm-hmm.
A coach may have a little bit more knowledge and awareness on how to shift your energy into getting you to that next level in your business, in your life that you may not have thought of. Because coaches have coaches, and those like Tony Robbins has a coach, Oprah has a coach.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just born and they wake up and say, hey, oh my gosh, I know everything. They have to work through their own limiting beliefs, their worthiness,
Mm-hmm.
their sense of self, right? But it's all
100%.
within us.
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, that's like even where the community comes into play. And like you said, the mentorship comes into play. And I even see a newfound understanding on the impact of who you have around you.
Yeah.
Because you just don't realize, like sometimes, I don't know, sometimes you'd always think like, oh, like that person was so mean to them, like kicking them out of the group and stuff. But I don't know, now I've just kind of like been changing my mind to that because you just realize like, oh my God, do I need that kind of negative energy bringing me down? And if they don't want to change, you know, like, because again, we don't want other people to force themselves to change, but you're going to want to be around the people that you're aspiring to be. And they're probably going to be around people that they would want to be around. And so it's just like, so now I just feel like, I mean, obviously not doing it in a negative sense, like totally shunning people, but I totally get the meaning of like being around the people that you want to be and like leveling yourself up because that's how you do it. You want to be around, if you're looking to be around a certain type of people, like let's say investors or like that very focused in mindset and like
Yep.
leveling up in those things, like you're going to want to be with people that are working towards the same goals as you. I mean, not exactly the same goals, but you know, like working themselves up because
Yeah.
you're growing. You want to be with people that are always wanting to grow.
Yeah, instead of people that are trying to shut down your dreams and tell you that, oh, well, why are you doing that? Real estate is horrible. Do you see what's going on in the market? Do you see the interest rates rising? Why are you buying that? Right? Like there are many people that are willing and ready to help you kill off your dreams.
Yeah.
But it's you that needs to remain focused because that idea or that purpose was given to you.
Mhm.
No one else can see or understand it the way you can. But it's how committed are you to moving your life forward?
Love
Right?
that. Yeah, I love that. And especially when it's always, again, looking back, it's like, are you bringing that in? Because, I mean, if everything was easy for us to do, everyone would do it. Whereas, like, we are given these kind of, like, either failure moments
Yeah.
or like difficult tasks that come in to prove our strength, to build that muscle,
Yeah.
to be able to be like, okay, this barrier came up, but I truly want this, so I'm willing to knock it down, where others will be like, oh, there's a wall, I can't do anything about it. Next,
Exactly.
let's do something else.
Exactly. Whereas if you just realized, if you just went around that wall, there was the door, right?
Exactly.
Sometimes you're literally right there, but then an obstacle, a contrast in life shows up, and your logical mind will be like, oh, I knew it. I wasn't meant for this. Nope, that's it. And that will stop you. But
Mm-hmm.
people that are really persistent in their goals and in their dreams will be like, okay, this is showing up for a reason. Let me welcome it, give thanks to it, and let me know, like, let me figure out how I'm going to move through it. Because nothing is going
100%.
to feel easy, right?
Yeah.
Nothing worth our time and what we want ourselves to be is going to come handed to us. Right?
100%. And it's also even like you're saying, like perspective. So, do you have any tips for the viewers to help them either change their perspective or make it? Because there are certain levels of making it easier. It won't be super easy, but we can definitely help ourselves to like break down those barriers. What tips do you have for people to either like that change their perspectives or like, start breaking down those barriers a little bit so it's not as hard, or at least you can understand it now and you're like
Yeah.
not as like anxious and stressed about it.
Become aware that you need to change something. And then once you become aware of it, ask yourself, is this serving me to hold on to this belief or
Mm-hmm.
this perspective that, every time, whatever that is. I can't think of an example right now, but
I can
whatever
give an
that is.
example.
Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I have an example that I felt like really helped me actually with perspective, and that's my creating my application. When I went talking to people about it, there were some people that are telling me the problems that they see, and I
Mm-hmm.
could have been like, well,
Mm.
this sucks. No one likes it. Well, not no one, but I mean, like, this person didn't like
Yeah.
it, and now this is not. But what happened was if I was in a negative mode, I wouldn't have seen all the amazing feedback that they were giving me that I can improve. And my application has actually evolved quite a bit because someone would tell me, oh, but if it had this, or oh, if it were doing that, then or like this would be nice to have. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, or like, oh, does it do this? And I wasn't even thinking of that, and it did do it, but I just never thought even that would be, for example, a selling point of it,
Right.
right? And so it's very interesting. Like if I were in a view of like they just said they're not going to come in and that's it, I would have been like, it would have never this. I would not even be talking about it today. Whereas I've had people tell me things, and I think because of my perspective, I'm still doing it because they've given me very valuable advice, and my application is like a tribute to them helping me, because it's
Yeah.
not giving me negative, like
No.
it sucks or
No.
whatever, right? But they're definitely telling me like the issues they see. Who doesn't want to know what those are so they can actually fix them or improve on them, or maybe find out that's not even the niche for what you're working with. You start even like niching out who is this for or whatever.
Well, I think too, like you didn't stay in that victim mentality, right? You
Mhm.
didn't stay connected to what they were saying and like really felt like they were saying it against you
Mhm.
or being like, oh, well, I don't want to listen to what they say because you're thinking, well, I need to hear this. So whatever they say, you're just rejecting it, or you're taking it on and feeling bad about it, right? Sometimes life can become a lot easier when we stop giving meaning to things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's nothing good or bad, really, okay, in life. Every situation that happens, advice that's given, it's neutral. When it comes in through us, we are the ones to determine if it is a good thing or if it's a bad thing. So for you to
Mm-hmm.
step back and be like, you know what? Thank you for that advice. You did not choose to see it as a bad thing,
Yeah.
but somebody else could have chosen to see it as a bad thing. It would have ruined their day. It could have stopped them from moving forward. So perspective is huge. Awareness is huge.
Yeah.
When we stop taking things personally and just sit with it for a moment and be like, okay, well, what am I trying to learn from this? What is this trying to show me and teach me? Because nothing
Mm-hmm.
happens to us. Everything happens for us, for our growth,
Mm-hmm.
for our development, for us to keep moving forward.
Mm. I love that. That's like a great example. And it's so true. Again, because it's exactly what you're saying, it's like if we're not learning from our experiences, then where are we going to go?
Exactly, exactly. Because like things are constantly happening. We're constantly moving, the world is revolving, but we are here to make a difference. I don't care who you are, you're making a difference in somebody's life. You're impacting the people around you, whether it's a global level or whatever level that is. But you've got to take care of you first. You've got to see how powerful you are because we all have the strength within us. But what are we choosing for our lives? Are we choosing to remain the same or are we choosing to move forward? Because that is where the action then comes into place. You will then have people show up in your life. Opportunities will come to you that you will be like, wow, oh my God, we don't live life forward, we live life backwards almost. Whereas, no, we don't realize things ahead of us, we only realize them after they've happened, right?
Hmm.
I,
Yes.
I can't say that correct, but I know Steve Jobs had said a quote similar like that. Because so now you can look back and be like, oh my gosh, now I know why this happened. Now I know why this relationship had to fall apart or why I wasn't meant to take this job. But in the moment, we're so devastated
Hmm.
by the breakup, by the friendship, by losing the job. But it's only
Hmm.
after that we can see how much of a positive impact it's made and it's pushed us forward.
Yeah, I love that. That's also very true. And I feel like I've seen that in my life where it's like I've had things happen in my life, but I know that they had to happen, like you said, for other actually more amazing things to happen. And I also wanted to touch back to what you said, because I found this also very powerful, what you were saying about the words being neutral, like what we get, the information we get is neutral. And exactly you're saying that we decide how we're receiving that information. And even I would say like our energy, because if our energy is in I'm going to this meeting and this person is not going to like what I say. And then all of a sudden, so you're already going into the energy of like, they're not going to like what I say, this application, they're going to not, whatever, like all this stuff. And then you've kind of like condemned yourself to
Yeah.
be that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then you're only gonna, and they'll probably feed off that too. They may feel
Yes.
like you don't have the confidence and they're just like, and they'll also give you the energy that you're asking for.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is where it's so important that I think it's so like again, doing shows like this and letting people become aware of who they are, how they're being, how they're showing up. Because some people are not even aware that they're putting out that kind of energy. But then they're going into a meetup or an event and they're like, okay, well, I want to meet so and so and I want to talk to these people, but I feel so shy. I don't really want to be here. And then it comes off that way.
Hmm.
It comes off to the other people that you're interacting with that, hey, I wonder if that person's okay. I tried to talk to them. They didn't really give me a great answer. And it's this energy exchange without words even leaving your mouth sometimes.
Yeah, 100%.
And then you
Completely
prove yourself
agree.
right. And you prove yourself, then you're like, oh, see, again, I'm never going to another networking event again. It was
No one wants
terrible.
to talk to me because I'm so
Yeah.
boring and da da
Yeah.
da.
But if we take a moment and when we are faced with events and things that we need to show up on, it's really who we're being. Like, who do you want to be? Who are you being in that moment? Your being comes from the things that you do every day. Are you choosing to believe that you're a person that can own your truth, that can stand in your truth, that can be responsible for their actions, good or bad, because we all play a role in whatever situation that we're in. Like, instead of deflecting or blaming, you take the responsibility for your life and say, yes, I own it, because then I can show up and tell my story.
Love it, love it. Any final words that you like to tell? Any last advice that you like to, or resuming of what we talked about for the viewers?
I just want to say that work on yourself. Okay, there's nothing outside of you externally that can make you happy, that can change your life. You've got to own it. You've got to take responsibility. The expansion begins from within you. And it just takes one small thing, like making a decision, and watch your life change.
I love it. I love it. And so if people want to reach out to you, or do you have anything you like to share about yourself, like any programs, or if anyone wants to reach you?
Yeah, so I'm doing one-on-one coaching right now, and if anybody would love to get in my energy, follow me on Instagram, DM me at IEC Jacqueline. I know you have me on your notes, and you'll have my information there, and let's have a chat. Let's see what we can work on to help you move forward in your life. We all need transformation, and it's just from getting here to getting there. And if that's a simple mindset shift, you owe it to yourself to be the best you can be in this life. There's not time. Time is something that everybody wants. So if you can collapse some of that time by really stepping into your light, then you're going to make a difference in your life and everyone around you.
Love it. That's so amazing. And like Jacqueline said, if you guys love what you've heard from her, she's going to be tagged on this. You'll be able to follow her through there and see what she's up to. And if you love my shows, or if you want to know more about my application, feel free to follow me. Go into the link tree. You'll see the link there too to get into my application. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. It's always so much fun to chat with you.
Thank you. You're amazing, and I always love your energy. I always love seeing you. I appreciate it so much. Have a beautiful day, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Jacqueline.